Hey, what is going on, guys? This is your mob boss, GangsterKT, and have a cool video for you today. This is video number 2 of the Only MSF Fans series, and today we're going to be talking about 21 characters that I plan to max to level 100, which is basically the same and similar as 21 best characters with maybe some slight nuance there. But I recently did a video with Boilon where we were talking about strategy for who to take to level 100, and while I did discuss my strategy, I mentioned that I'd selected 21 characters from my roster that I plan to start taking there. So I thought I'd do another more detailed video showing you guys exactly who those are in order. Now I'll say a ton of nuance here. You know, number 14 and 15 I'm sure are interchangeable. And you know, any of these guys can probably slide up or down a few slots, but I really prioritize this for me based on Crucible, and there's some exception to there, but my main focus for this list is, you know, what characters will a little more power on when it's available really help me in Crucible, which should then help me in War and other game modes as well. But for me, this focus was Crucible. So I'm going to go through these very quickly. Again, it is 21. I don't want this to be an hour-long video. I might do a little more talking on ones with nuance, but in general, going to go through these. But these are who I'd recommend you plan on taking. If you don't have these characters maxed yet, I'd max them right away. These are the most valuable characters in the game right now, if you like PvP, I'll say. And for most of them, that would apply anywhere. And these are definitely who I plan to take to level 100. So with that said, let's get into this list here. Alright, so number 21 is probably going to be the most controversial, and that is Dr. Octopus. So he's great, we all know it, but you know, characters like Rogue did not make this list. Doom did not make this list. Some tough choices there. And what I'll say with Doc Ock, you know, he's not the second best on that team necessarily. That's probably Lizard. So surprised, and why isn't Lizard here? Well, I've found in my really tough Superior 6 matches, the ones that, you know, come down to the wire, I'm not sure if I'm going to win, it's actually Doc Ock's survivability that is tipping those scales for me normally. So because of that, even though, you know, he's maybe not the second biggest damager on the team, although his damage is great, he's their survivability, and he's the one that I really feel can allow bigger punch-ups and can allow some more usage out of that team. So that's why Doc Ock is number 21 for me. Number 20 is a recently reworked character, and that is Gambit. So very valuable for the new Incursion raid. You know, with Sunspot there, he can get up to 75% additional damage on a just recently reworked damage stat that's already pretty good. So crazy damage. I am finding use for him on Crucible defense right now in the Mutant Room with the new Extreme team, and I just expect that to be the case for a while. So great for raids and will have PvP value. That's why I put Gambit number 20. Number 19 is Omega Red, so one of the older characters on this list, but for those who used him in the Black Cat trials, for those who use him in DD6 and have taken him up to T18, this guy is just unreal. You know, his first turn special with trauma and ability block, and also getting speed up so he can take his second turn alt very quickly, that flips all buffs, puts trauma out. His alt is still one of the best abilities in the game. So Omega Red, if you're into Crucible, is a plug and play beast, and why I have Omega Red as my 19th character to take to level 100. Number 18, another older one, and will probably be falling off this list. In fact, by the time I get to level 100, she might not be there anymore. But that is Morgan Le Fay. So, you know, her alt that has the turn rewind if they don't get debuffs, that applies and spreads debuffs. It's just unbelievable. Her special with the turn control and healing her up is really powerful. You know, Darkhold's definitely getting power crept. You still do use them for Crucible defense a lot of times, and they do still have a place in War, but they are getting power crept. With that said, I see Morgan really starting to get used plug and play more over the next few months, and I think she will maintain that value, especially if she's taken to level 100, and that is why she is on this list. So number 17 is another one of the Crucible plug and play beasts. You know, his team's kind of a disappointment, but that is Nova. So he is still the best on that team. They are, you know, nowhere still great in War, but overall they're falling off a little bit. I don't think as valuable as people thought. But Nova is still a plug and play beast in Crucible. I still plan on using him there for quite a while. Obviously still will use him War, and that's why he is number 17 on this list. 16 is Black Cat, and that's 2 legendaries in a row. Pretty low overall on this list for 2 of the newer legendaries. Black Cat's amazing. Her speed gain, is still so powerful. She does great damage. She has that stun trauma, but she's the second best on the team. She's losing value in the arena meta pretty quickly because of how Scroll functions and those death proofs that Black Cat brings, and how those actually hurt the team against Scroll. And overall, I just don't feel, she's the most important character on that team, but it's an arena team. It's still one of the top meta teams in all game mode, and Black Cat definitely deserves to be on this list and someone I plan to take to 100. Number 15 is Vol. Kind of similar story here with a few of these. Vol's obviously one of the top players for the new incursion raid in the Mystic sections. Vol's ult is still probably the most powerful ability in the game, and just instantly turns any match if you're losing into winning. It's unbelievable. But overall, I'm really just using Vol outside of raids, which are kind of automatic now. I don't need more power on Vol for the raids. Again, as a Crucible plug and play, so not on that team. Vol's decent in war defense, not the best, but I am using there. But overall, I'm mainly using her as a Crucible plug and play, but finding a lot of value with her there. So because of the huge stats, because of that ultimate, still plan on taking Vol to level 100 as the 15th best character to do so. Number 14 is Dormammu, and he's moved up on my list recently, even though he keeps getting older. But when you put a little more power into Dormammu, put some red stars on him, take him to T18, it's amazing how much damage he still does. His ult, with the stun trauma and with flipping buffs is still, that's his special, but it's still really powerful. And then his ult, with doing everything it does, is almost an I win button, similar to Vol. Still one of the most powerful in the game. So Dormammu's going to have a lot of use. There's a lot of characters that now can mitigate his revive ability, but that's still really valuable. And he's just a plug and play beast still in Crucible, and that's why I have him 14th on the list. So number 13 is probably my current pet peeve character, and that is Tigra. So couldn't justify putting her any higher even though I wanted to, but I do want to talk about Tigra a little more. So one, the new Avengers team is amazing. It's a hard counter to almost any Scroll team on War because of that early stun thing can do, and Tigra is by far the most important character on that team. Most of these new teams are really fairly balanced. Like, there's one character that's a little better, of course, there always is. But this is kind of old school in that one character is so valuable. She's the tank of the team, so having her bigger just provides more survivability. And then she's also the main damager of their team, and her bleeds just hit like absolutely crazy. So, not using Tigra in Crucible, which was my main factor, but I just love her. She's incredible, and she is so valuable in War and will be for a long time. So Tigra is kind of one of my favorite characters to build right now, and I do plan on taking her to level 100 as my 13th character to do that. Number 12 is Red Hawk, and I just saw a lot of people roll their eyes. Red Hawk cannot be this high on the list. He should be down there with the Morgans, with the Vols, and I mean, he's not that much higher, so that's fair. But the one thing to remember, before Scrawl came out and before the current Secret Defender arena meta, the arena meta involved Red Hawk as a plug and play. His speed, especially when he gets charges, but even initially, is very fast. He goes so early. And that first turn special where he does the speed rewind on an AoE, not full AoE, but target and neighboring targets, is just so incredibly valuable because of the value of speed, and will be for a long time. So I still am using Gamma in Crucible, obviously still in War. But once they go away from Crucible, which is probably a few months out, I do see Red Hawk becoming a plug-and-play beast in Crucible, and someone that I think is going to be just deadly once you get him up to level 100. So he is number 12 on my list. Number 11 is one of the newest characters on this list, and that is Nightcrawler. So those who have been able to build him a little bit know he is an absolute beast. Him giving that speed on crit at the start of the match is so valuable. Him having that early stun is so valuable. He's the best character on the Extreme X-Men team, so that's great for the raids, and you really need some power on them in raids, so that's helpful. But I think just as importantly, if not more importantly, he's a great character on Crucible defense right now with the Extreme X-Men team, and especially in that room that has the mutant favors where they clear the debuffs at the start of their turn. So he is just a beast, still learning how to counter him effectively. I'm sure that'll come. And then the next iteration is going to be learning where to use him effectively on offense and really be able to cheese that speed game and that stun. So he's going to be around a long time. He's an amazing character. We are all waiting for him. And he is number 11 on my list to take to level 100, even as a raid character, which for me, that's saying a lot because I only build my raid characters as big as I need. He's worth building further. Number 10 is my last favorite character, probably before Tigra is now, but that is Quicksilver. Quicksilver is still unbelievably amazing. He's an absolute plug-and-play beast and is going to be used for so long in this game and be in that meta. The 2 turns is the most obvious reason, and with those 2 turns, more power on him is just more crazy damage and value that you can do. But just as important as him, and this isn't power dependent, but is how he can't be impacted by speed rewinds. You guys know, they're really into theory in this game, how important that is, and that's not going away, and you're never going to be able to control him with speed rewinds, with the slow that actually gives him speed if he gets slowed. So he's just always going to be such a fast character, which is appropriate for him, and definitely breaks into the top 10 for who I plan to take to level 100. So getting in some good ones here. Number 9 is the newest legendary, Green Goblin. He is the best on the Superior 6 team. They are the current Meta Crucible team. They are amazing in war, along with other Sinister 6 characters. So, he's the newest legendary. He's going to be around for a long time. His ult with the trauma, with the speed rewind is amazing, and just a great character overall. Best character on one of the best teams right now, and that is why he is number 9 on my list. Number 8 is Icarus, and a much older character, but if you watch my last video on diamonds and putting the power where it matters, I feel power is so valuable and really so important for Icarus right now. His kit is unbelievable. We want to keep that kit in the meta as long as we can, but he's a little older and he's getting power crept, so putting more power on him is just so favorable. I got really lucky and got a 3 diamond on a Diamond Dawn Orb for him, so he's close to 500k on my roster, just fully maxed, and he is just destroying people. He'll go away eventually, or probably more likely Eternals will get reworked, but more power on Icarus. I think out of all the characters, he's maybe the one that gets the most benefit from more power right now, just because of starting to power creep a little and how valuable his kit is. So I definitely plan on taking him to level 100 as my 8th priority. So number 7 is Robbie, and this I think is pretty obvious. Number 1 character on the arena meta team right now, not counting Scroll or Apocalypse. Great for DD6. Robbie's speed gain with the bleeds is awesome. His passive hit that removes busts is amazing. But it's mainly about Robbie's damage, and I'll say especially that ult. I mean, the bleeds he does, in arena matches, even against Apocalypse, just wipe characters. He is so powerful, and he is one that gets full value out of getting more power. So just like you see him at the top of, power these guys up now list, diamond lists, all those things, he is definitely one you should consider taking to level 100 as quickly as you can. Number 6 is Spider Weaver, so still one of the absolute best Crucible players, still amazing in war. With Spider Weaver's passive and causing opponents to miss, we're always going to find great uses for Weaver. And no matter what the new meta is, unless they have unavoidable attacks, she's going to be able to potentially counter them. So we'll see. That is becoming a little more common to have unavoidable attacks, and that's because of her. So Spider Weaver's amazing. Again, one of the best characters for Crucible. On Tangled Web, or really even just on her own, she's unbelievable. So I will be keeping Spider Weaver maxed and taking her to level 100 as soon as I can. Number 5 is Zombie Juggernaut. And he's one of the best characters in the game. I think a lot of people still don't have him built, and even those who have him built, are probably capped at 3 stars, 4 stars, unless you really spend a lot of money on him. So we haven't seen his full value yet, but this guy is unbelievable. Like, his damage is off the charts, and mine's only 4 stars, so I have him completely maxed. 4 yellow, 4 red, T18, level 95, blue ISO 5. Any chance I get to put more power on this guy is a resource well spent. And so this is just a chance to get him even bigger. I can't get more stars on him right now, you know, unless what advertisement's accurate that he's going to be at a campaign event, but don't hold your breath. I'm sure that was a mistake. But any chance you get to power up Zombie Juggernaut, if you have the stars on him, I would do it. And I'd say, just a guess, but probably about 3 stars is what you need to really be able to use him. But it's not as many stars as you'd think. He's amazing at low stars. You just do need some power there to really get the value. But if you have him built, he is definitely one worth taking to level 100. So number 4 is Kang. This is getting into the obvious list and maybe just, hey, should he be 3 or 4? Kang is still one of the best characters in the game. His speed gimmick that he has in his passive is going to be around forever. Just like we've seen with Emma, with Cable, except, you know, on top of that, Kang's one of the best characters too. So because of all the specials on crit damage and his ult and the extra crit damage he gets, he still has one of the most powerful ults in the game. Characters can't revive from it. You know, the Kang Bang is still well and intact. So don't need to talk about Kang anymore. Again, pretty obvious one, but he is one of the top characters I will be taking to 100 once that's available. If your Kang is not maxed, stop watching the next 3 and go do that now. So number 3 is Kestrel, and one, I just love that picture of Kestrel, but she actually is the first character that I bought 3 diamonds on, and so I had to give her the nod ahead of Kang because I chose to buy 3 diamonds on her over Kang. You know, she's useful in tech and the incursion raids, and she really carries that team and allows you to keep the other Toons smaller if she's bigger, but more importantly, she just like defines plug and play beast right now. Her pings, now that I have her at 3 diamond, I know that's not everyone, but are doing like 4.5 million damage when she's pinging people, and that's out of turn damage that's just crazy. So, you know, she's got that ult that can remove buffs and keep people from reviving, does huge damage. The special almost wipes people unless they're huge on its own, but she just changes any match. She can enable almost any counter by throwing her on the team, and someone that's going to be around a long time and will always be one of the best characters in this game. And that's why outside of the big 2, Kestrel is who I have number 3. Alright, so we'll conclude the next 2 here with the Mr. Obvious show, but have to cover them, have to give these guys the nod. They're amazing. So number 2 is Apocalypse, you know, the second newest big bad guy in the game. We got him from the Apocalypse saga. He's still unbelievable. I think he is number 2, but that ult doing the 60% damage, you know, the damage he does overall with 7 red stars. He's got the drain, he's got the speed increase at 50% health, like just so much power in the kit. Go read it again. You'll forget how much is actually in there. But I'll say even just as importantly, there's a few matches in War that based on some of the War counters, you know, Scrawl can actually, you can get around him. And I'd say the main one there is New Avengers, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit on my list, but New Avengers can't do anything against Apocalypse because of the flips on his ult. So he is still a hard counter to a lot of amazing teams, and definitely, obviously, one of the most important characters to take to level 100 as quickly as you can. So last but not least at all, the obvious number 1 right now, Super Scrawl. You probably heard, but his red stars will be available soon. I'm still not sure if that's just 5 or if that's all the way up to 7. I cannot imagine it's going to be up to 7 like the initial data mine showed, because Scrawl is so dominant in this game still at 4 red stars. Like that's almost scary to think what he'd be like at 7. So even 5 red stars is going to be a pretty big change for Arena. For Crucible matches, but you know, his ability to get speed when opponents get a buff or when you get debuffs is game changing, and just makes Scrawl still the most dominant character in the game by far. His abilities are unbelievable too. His ult does so much damage. His special does the rewind with the ability block, with the exposed. I mean, just there's nothing bad you can say against him at all. So obviously the best character in the game right now probably will be until Mephisto comes out potentially. So take Scrawl as big as possible as soon as you can, and he is the number 1 character on this list for who to take to level 100. Alright, so that is all I have today for the video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this, but again, just wanted to follow up on that video that Boilon and I did with the details of my list. So I will link Boilon's video below if you didn't get a chance to watch that. go check out our collab there. Thought it was really helpful for people. So as always, I give you my word. This is the best advice I have. All I have in this world is my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no one. Peace.